I'm looking for help identifying this item. It is a solid cylindrical tube, and the lever activates a plunger that comes up through the center. It says made in Canada and patent applied for. Someone else mentioned it could be used on apples to remove the core. The end is beveled so it would cut nicely, but it would be an odd angle since the handle is slanted. It was sold to my grandfather, and I always wondered. Any ideas? It's an ice cream scoop for a product called Cold Dogs. It was invented by Frederick W. Vollens and patented on August 10, 1926 for the Fisher Motor Company Limited of Orillia, Ontario, Canada. The long cylinder makes a tube of ice cream that is inserted into a chocolate-covered bun, and the dessert is called a cold dog. What is this crank-driven device made of wood with what look like iron nails for teeth? The body is 10 inches wide, 24 inches tall, with maroon or burgundy colored paint. It's got two different types of metal teeth, kinda rusty, so similar to the color of the paint on the wooden housing. I searched for agricultural items like vintage hand crank farm implements, and I don't see anything quite like this. I really appreciate any help you can provide. It's an antique fruit crusher, used to crush fruits like grapes or apples, often for winemaking or cider production. These devices represent a time when food production was more hands-on and reflect the tools and techniques of earlier eras. What is this small porcelain china piece that looks like it's made for something very specific? My mother-in-law has always wondered what this was. It has a very awkward shape, so I figured it is made for something specific. I was thinking maybe a toothpick holder or an ashtray, but I haven't been able to find anything like it online for comparison or confirmation. Any help idea or clue is appreciated. It's a 1950s to 70s toothpick or business card holder. Here's a similar one on Etsy. You can grab them from the sides where the finger holes are. What is this sterling silver ring connected by a few links of chain and a jewelry-style spring ring clasp to a spindle-shaped piece of silver? It's lightweight sterling and likely from the early 1900s. Our guess is that this was some kind of woman's household tool, but from an upper-middle-class household of second or third generation American Caucasians living in the Northeast US. But we can't figure out what it was for. Thanks in advance for any info. It's a wristlet crochet ball holder. The idea was patented in 1912 by George Garrett Kent, who lived in East Finchley in London. Crochet cotton, then as now, was sold ready wound into balls. The crochet ball sits on the metal disc, with the wire going through the center of the ball. The holder can swivel freely, hanging from the bangle. What is this lantern I found in a vintage store? It's got two blue lights, opposite one another, one red and one yellow, and it's about the size of an American football. It was too expensive, $135, so I didn't buy it, but it looked so fascinating. It's an electric lamp, and it looked to be made of some plated steel or something. I looked into railway switch signal lamps, but I couldn't find a light pattern that made sense. Thanks in advance. It's a Swiss golden beacon light, a historical party artifact developed in the 1960s and became the pre-disco era vintage party light that inspired both the modern-day traffic signal as well as the first generation of disco dancing lights. I saw this on a cruise to Alaska in a town named Skagway. It looks like a clock with the words, "Kerms's Curios," and the next seems to read Neon Frontier Bar. Does anyone have any information? It's a Gold Rush-era advertisement for Kerms's Curios. In 1897, Herman Kermsey was one of several entrepreneurs who opened a jewelry and watch store in Skagway in southeastern Alaska. Kermsey decided the best way to advertise would be to paint a billboard on the side of a nearby cliff. Since this part of Alaska relies on tourist boats, especially cruise ships, it was a sensible strategy to get the attention of passerby. It is set to 720 to show the symmetry of the clock face, as is common for American jewelry. This Alaska-style billboard still peeks out from bluffs. Although the original jewelry store is no more, a place called Kermsey's Curios nearby sells crafts and artisanal wares, including jewelry by local artists. What is this metal thing with a glass ball inside full of a mystery liquid? This was found at my in-laws. It's about 10 inches tall, and there is a small metal circle with an STF cut out of it floating in the liquid. Google Lens comes up with nothing similar. Please help, we have no idea. It's a 1950s fire grenade in an automatic cradle. The cradle automatically deploys the grenade in a fire, and it's designed to be mounted high on a wall or ceiling. The solder melts at a low temperature and releases the spring-loaded plunger, smashing the grenade so the fluid runs out through the holes. Be aware that the grenade most likely contains carbon tetrachloride. It's a hazardous substance that you really don't want to be exposed to. Your local fire department should be able to advise you on the correct way to dispose of it. What is this part on my antique music stand? I just picked up what I think is a Lambie or Lambie-style antique music stand in Rhode Island. I want to know what the platform is in the middle, the rectangular part with the spikes on the corners. It was taken out of an old library that had been converted into a full-time residence for a local arts professor. ChatGPT suggested it was some kind of bow holder, but I haven't been able to find any additional information anywhere to support this. It isn't immediately clear to me how one might go about using it that way. If anyone knows anything about these, I would love to learn more. It is not a music stand, and the spikes are not for holding bows. It's a Victorian-era dual-height adjustable bookstand, and the shelves hold additional books. The spikes are simply bookends. Here's one on the Redwood Library and Athenaeum in Newport, Rhode Island. The library is America's first purpose-built library since 1747, and the oldest continuously operating in its original location. What is this thing found at Goodwill? It has 3 keyhole latches, about 2 feet tall, 18 inches long, and solid wood. The center of the lid has a slot that looks like it's meant as a handle. On the bottom of the lid, there is a piece of wood that slides to block the handle that can only be moved from the bottom of the lid. The bottom has the hexagonal cutout that appears to be where a center bin would have gone. I showed it to ChatGPT and it said it was a cigarette bin, but it doesn't smell like you would expect a cigarette bin to smell. No smoke or fire damage to it. I've also done reverse image searches in Google, and it just shows me hexagonal side tables, none of which have a locking lid of any kind. Any ideas? Please let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.